I'd like to address an issue that's been in the news over and over again. Until now, I've chosen to take the high road. I've chosen not to respond in detail. But that changes today.
New York taxpayers who had to foot the bill when the state's attorney general went after Trump could now be on the hook for AG Letitia James' legal defense fees as she tries to battle mortgage fraud charges. Now, the DOJ has opened an investigation into New York Attorney General Letitia James over loans and property purchases that she made in both New York and Virginia. And now she is trying to use taxpayer dollars to pay for her personal legal fees. What do you make of this and the fact that there is even a provision in the state's budget to cover an official's legal defense fees?
The legislature snuck in $10 million to make sure that the taxpayers pay for whatever legal defense she has against Donald Trump. She accused Donald Trump of the same, and yet, as her lawyer, Abbott Lowell, said recently, it was just an error. We made a mistake. Even alleging that her father was her husband, her spouse, that was a mistake. Yes, we made a few errors, but we later corrected that in the document. Just go back and look. Come on. This is why the Justice Department has opened an investigation.
If you are in New York, definitely if you are in New York, but no matter where you are, did you know that Letitia James is currently facing mortgage fraud charges after having put those same charges on Donald Trump? And did you know that she hired a lawyer who was Hunter Biden's lawyer to help with her defense?
I did ask my family. I did ask some friends. I got their feedback, and based on that, I decided that I could or should take this case. Guilty is the result of a judicial process in which either a jury finds beyond reasonable doubt that somebody did it, or somebody admits to doing it and pleads guilty themselves. Nobody charged is guilty until somebody says they're guilty. If you're asking whether or not people should represent people who, quote, did it, end quote, that's more complicated, because very often somebody is charged who did something, but not it.
Her attorney general's office apparently, allegedly, is paying for her defense, even though these charges have absolutely nothing to do with her time and tenure as attorney general of the state of New York. In other words, people, her office is allegedly paying for her defense for a private mortgage fraud matter. Democratic New York Governor Kathy Hochul issued her proposed $254 billion budget last week, and the state legislature is set to begin voting on it as soon as Wednesday. Part of what state legislators will be voting on includes the state operations section of the budget. In the section, according to a draft copy provided to Fox News Digital by State Republican Party, it includes draft language which, if approved, would compel taxpayers to provide the money for a legal defense fund that, while James is not named in the bill, would theoretically cover the New York Attorney General's legal costs pertaining to fraud allegations brought against her by the Trump administration's Federal Housing Finance Agency.
Governor Kathy Hochul's budget bill now has language that would actually put taxpayers on the hook for officials dealing with Trump administration-led investigations. So if the DOJ takes up Tisha's criminal referral and this bill passes, she could end up tapping into a $10 million fund to cover any reasonable attorney's fees and expenses incurred. Senator Rob Ortt. Senator, thank you for joining us. How will this go over with the hardworking men and women of New York who've already seen enough of her games for a while?
Yeah, I mean, you're already in the highest tax state. There's any number. We're going to pass a budget, Laura, that's going to be about $255 billion here in New York in the next couple days, passed, by Democrats in both the Senate Assembly by Governor Hochul. And this is maybe one of the more egregious. They're going to take $10 million of public money, tax dollars, for private legal defense. Don't forget, this is regardless of whether it's even related to your job. So even if somebody else had a DUI they could tap into this fund under this law, but this was drawn up expressly for one official, Tish James, to defend, so she can use the tax dollars for her legal defense against the federal government.
Legal slush
it's
fund.
A complete
Legal
slap in the
slush fund because allegedly she wanted certain benefits that she got by fraudulently stating things allegedly on these mortgage applications.
It says the draft language would set aside $10 million, which is like kind of a giveaway, a $10 million. Like this means it doesn't have to come out of her pocket. If you think about it, this is like literally a $10 million gift to her. It says the draft language compiled by the Democrat-controlled executive branch, Senate majority, and Assembly majority would set aside $10 million for elected officials in the state to use their legal defense when the case is in direct response to the officials' exercise of their duties.
That was no surprise. I knew the conservatives have questions. I think in some of it is specific to me. Some of it is more that I'm just an avatar for the legacy media. And I think a lot of people on the right feel, understandably, hey, we were aware of this years ago and you didn't cover it. You belittled it. And that's not, and now you want plaudits for coming forward and point to here and there. But as a general admission, I think that there are very few people in legacy media who, knowing what we know now, I look at the way I covered, the president, some of the trials of the president, I thought were, I think it is problematic when people run for prosecutor and promise to go after a specific politician. And both Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, and Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney of New York, both of them did that. And that, to me, is problematic because you're not saying this is the offense and we need to bring justice to this perpetrator. You're saying, I'm going to go after him. And I think that there was a degree to which that was tolerated by the media writ large. I mean, there's so many things that the Democratic Party did to try to boost this man who was, who so many voters, including Democratic voters, had serious concerns about. In terms of the degree to which Trump is an actual existential threat to democracy, which is not anything I've ever said, but something that Democrats say. I mean, I think he's certainly pushing norms. I think he's certainly, testing limits. It's, my job is to cover what he does and leave the commentary like that to others, whether it's a Democratic senator or a never Trump Republican. But I certainly think that I certainly see a lot of irony in the sense that or hypocrisy in the sense that the party of democracy was actually in so many ways trying to prevent the voters from having an actual choice and having all of the facts about the man that they were entrusting with the most powerful job in the world.
Now, the person who originally started promulgating all of this evidence against Letitia James, his name is Sam Antar, and he has said publicly many times that no one has put him up to this, that he's a private citizen, that he is a forensic auditor or forensic accountant, something along those lines. And he said nobody's put him up to this. So it's really hard to see how this could be politically tied back to Letitia James's time as Attorney General. But you know how people are. They'll make the case for that. So y'all, what do you think about this? New Yorkers, are you going to let them use your money for this $10 million? Listen, out of a $254 billion bill, I'm sure there's lots of different expenditures that New Yorkers would probably object to.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.